4 of these posts are in Southeast Europe, a region that faces a dual challenge. As people of this region reconcile themselves with a troubled past, they must now chart a shared course towards a better future. If confirmed, these individuals will be called upon to build on the best traditions of American diplomacy to facilitate these countries' integration into the Euro-Atlantic community. With respect to Mr. Kennedy, the crimes he will try to rectify are not as recent as the genocide in Srebrenica, but the shadows they cast across Europe are every bit as dark. Finding justice for victims of the Holocaust remains a moral imperative, and I hope Mr. Kennedy will do everything in his power to right the wrongs stemming from that unconscionable era. I'm pleased that the administration has put forward 5 capable career Foreign Service officers to fill these positions. I welcome you all and your families who are also with us here today. In the interest of time, I'll place my full statement in the record. Senator DeMint is not yet here, and so what I'd like to do is to ask all the nominees to begin with their opening statement. When Senator DeMint arrives, we may interrupt your opening statements to allow him to make his statement. And if you would like to introduce your families, feel free to do so, because we know that they are signing on as well, and should be congratulated and commended for their public service. My wife did not ask me to write that. That was something I thought of all on my own.
Mr. Chairman, Senator, I also will provide a brief oral summary of the written statement which I've submitted for the record. I also am very honored to appear today before you as the President's nominee to be the first American ambassador to the Republic of Montenegro, the world's newest independent state. Mr. Chairman, Senator, since its declaration of independence last year, Montenegro has already quickly established itself as a solid friend and partner of the United States. If I am confirmed, it would be a great honor to work with the talented team at our new embassy in Podgorica to strengthen this partnership further. Mr. Chairman, it is in our national interest to maintain a vigorous partnership with Montenegro. Having navigated its way peacefully to independence, Montenegro has emerged onto the world stage as a dynamic democracy committed to the values we share with our Euro-Atlantic allies. Moreover, although it is small in size, Montenegro can play an outsized role in partnership with us in the global arena, including in the war on terror and as a potential member of NATO and the European Union. A prosperous and democratic Montenegro will also be a key ally in strengthening stability in historically unsettled Balkans, our top priority in this region. In this direction, Montenegro has committed itself to political and economic reform. It is zealously pursuing Euro-Atlantic integration and is building increasingly strong relationships with its neighbors. Montenegro is witnessing strong economic growth and a boom in tourism and real estate along its beautiful Adriatic coast. Nevertheless, many challenges do lie ahead for Montenegro. Like other transition countries, its youthful democratic institutions are still fragile. Montenegro can do more to cement the rule of law and to fight corruption and organized crime. Montenegro could do more to accelerate broad-based economic development and attract more American and other foreign investors. Although its ethnic groups peacefully coexist, Montenegro could do even more to become a model for multicultural harmony in a region too frequently divided along ethnic fault lines. Mr. Chairman, I am convinced that Montenegro's rich history, demonstrated friendship towards the United States, commitment to reform, and keen determination to integrate fully into the Euro-Atlantic community offer fertile ground for cultivating a strong bilateral relationship through successful transformational diplomacy. We have a tremendous opportunity at this early stage to root into this ground a strong friendship between the peoples of our two countries, a friendship that will bear fruit for many decades to come. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlemen, what I'd like to do before we start a round of questions is to allow Senator DeMint to offer greetings and an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for missing some of your opening statements. I appreciate your willingness to serve at really a challenging time for the United States. Our image abroad is certainly tarnished in some ways, and despite our willingness to help so many countries, sometimes that help is very misunderstood. So your potential positions are are very important to us. I think as we talk about spreading democracy and freedom abroad, as all of you know, that freedom involves much more than just the right to vote. And you've already referenced the importance of institutions and just the importance of rule of law and property and free enterprise and freedom of the press and freedom of religion, a lot of things that in your positions you need to encourage and help to guide. I think the big challenge we have as a world is trying to determine the difference between socialistic principles, which ultimately lead to big government and dependency on government, things which often start out with good intentions to help people ultimately accept freedom, as we even find in our own country. But to be able to direct the government in how to help its people and to help the poor and to provide health care in a way that ultimately promotes freedom is a challenge to us, and hopefully you can help these countries learn from our successes as well as perhaps some of our failures. So I'm very interested in supporting your nominations and hearing any additional ideas as we go through just a few questions. But I very much appreciate your willingness to serve our country as well as the countries that you're looking at serving in. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Take a stab at a couple questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start on the other side since you worked on starting on the right. I'd really just maybe Mr. Moore and Dr. Munner, just a perspective of your role as ambassadors to Montenegro and Serbia. I've often heard, as I've talked to people who've worked with around the world in various countries, that sometimes our State Department, regardless of the administration, can do more harm than good, and maybe trying to direct the affairs of other nations. I would guess that you would see your role as not only doing the bidding of whatever administration is in power, but understanding and listening and trying to direct the policy of the United States in a way that would best serve the country that you are in, as well as our own country here back home. I would just be interested in your perspective of your role and how you would direct us in an administration to really understand other countries in a way that would help them or help us work with them rather than perhaps alienate them, which is apparently what we occasionally do. So, Mr. Moore, if that question makes any sense.
Thank you, Senator. I fully understand the question. I appreciate it. I think the good news with Montenegro is that we actually have a win-win situation. I say that because I think that success on the part of the Montenegrin people and the Montenegrin institutions themselves to reform and transition their society equals foreign policy success for the United States. I think we're pushing in the same direction. And let me define that a little bit more clearly. It's my view that the United States can play an important role. We have 17 years of experience working with countries in Eastern Europe, former socialist countries, and we've gained a lot of experience and know-how, and we've applied, thanks to the generosity of the taxpayers in the Congress, a substantial amount of resources during these 17 years. But I think that we have more work to do in terms of supporting the success of political and economic reforms. And what I mean by that is strengthening the economy of Montenegro, creating jobs in Montenegro, strengthening democratic institutions, strengthening rule of law, fighting corruption, and so forth. These are all issues which I think will help strengthen Montenegro and are in the interest of the United States for two reasons, primarily. A successful Montenegro which makes it through this transition and becomes a democratic and prosperous state in a region which has been traditionally unstable, unfortunately, over the last 2 decades or so, will be an important ally of ours in helping to export stability to other areas of this region. Second of all, a successful Montenegro, which does make it through this transition, also has the potential to be an important partner of the United States as we try to advance our agenda both within the region of South Central Europe in the Euro-Atlantic area and globally as well. Montenegro is, if it so decides, is a prospective member of the European Union and NATO. It's already a member of the United Nations and the OSCE. So I think, again, to sum up, I think it's a win-win situation. I think we're all moving in the same direction.
And thank you very much. Dr. Monitor, really the same question.
Thank you very much for the question, Senator, and I really appreciate it.